Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Want to pop on and do a video for you guys about making decisions because this is a place where a lot of us get stuck. So I think it's important to know how to make powerful decisions, especially as a business owner. So today you can see it's August, end of August, and I'm rocking my fuzzy vest because it gets cool. Like sometimes it gets really cool at night here in Colorado, which actually I love because I love it being cool when I sleep. But when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's kind of cold. So this morning I got up, I went for a hike. It was awesome as always. And I came back and have been doing just kind of my normal morning things and decided that I need to put it on my fuzzy vest. So I'm kind of enjoying it as we hop into fall too. It's still supposed to be like plenty warm here today, but right now still kind of cool. So today I'll be talking about making decisions. If you pop on, say hello, but I think you're going to find this really, really helpful. In fact, I know you're going to find it helpful. Because one of the big things about being a business owner and starting a business is that you become the one who is making the decisions in your business. So instead of being an employee, you go to being the CEO or the owner, and it's up to you to make all the decisions in your business. And really, if you're getting started, like the decision to actually start your business as well. And all the things that go into play as far as, really growing your business and getting clients and what does that look like? It's all about making decisions. And truly, our life is actually shaped by the decisions that we're making each and every day. So it's really, really important to make powerful decisions and to, know a good process to do that so that you aren't sabotaging yourself. And this has been a learning process for me because I know, like, especially in the past, I've put off making decisions about things because I've always been afraid of making the wrong decision, right? So then I would just stay in this, what I like to call is analysis paralysis, which I hear from people all the time, especially when you're getting started in your business or trying to grow your business, where you get stuck in this spot of like analyzing everything, but never really moving forward with things. And what is actually going on? Like what is analysis paralysis, right? Like it's where you're just kind of stuck spinning your wheels. But what's actually going on is that you're not making decisions and moving forward with them. And so we're just stuck in this like limbo of deciding and really like not moving forward with things. So another thing that goes along with that too is like procrastination. So procrastination is really, you haven't made a decision and you're not moving forward with it. So you're just kind of sticking in the spot of deciding or not doing anything. So because these things like can keep us so stuck in our business and really stop us from moving forward, like I want to talk about this and give you some tools because I think really I know it helps so much. So really when we get stuck in this place of not deciding, we're a lot of times stuck in a place of confusion. So we're like, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do this. I don't know what to do. Like, what's the best answer? Maybe we start asking other people, what do you think I should do about this? Like, what is the best thing? Maybe we make a list, like pros and cons, and we like torture ourselves with this. And so it isn't doing us any good. Like sometimes we think like if I've put off making a decision or like, I need a month to decide. The thing is, like, a decision is made in 1 second. We make a decision, boom, and it's done. So really, if you say, like, I'll decide in a month, you're making that decision in 1 second, but you're kind of torturing yourself for a month of deciding, which, for a lot of us, nothing really changes unless you actually do have to find out, like, more information to make an educated decision. But a lot of times like our decisions are really based on There isn't necessarily a right or a wrong. It's just whatever decision feels best to us at the time, and then to decide and go with it. So, hey Maggie, glad you're here. Yeah, if you guys pop on, say hello. I always like to know who's watching. How's your day going, Maggie? So this really goes back to, so when we get stuck in this place of confusion, it's kind of like, it's really like self-sabotage or self-indulgent, like keeping us stuck from moving forward to things that scare us or are unknown, right? Because if we're afraid to make a decision, we're afraid to make the wrong decision, we're just staying in this place of confusion, which isn't doing us any good, right? Like it's much better to make a decision and to move forward with things than to just stay stuck in this like indecisiveness, which if you think about it, productive so far. I like that. That's awesome. So if you think about it, like the place of confusion or analysis paralysis, like quite frankly, that feels like crap, right? You feel much better actually just making a decision and going with it. So I think it's important to know that, because a lot of times like this fear will keep us from making a decision. But really, like when you think about it, you always feel so much better and relief after you just like make a decision and go with it. So I wanted to give you guys some steps so that you can start making powerful decisions. You can start trusting yourself. You can really step into this role of, the CEO, the owner of your business. And instead of getting stuck and spinning your wheels and not moving forward, to actually like move forward powerfully and to really trust the process and trust that you're making the best decisions for you. So I'm going to talk about this because I know you're going to find it helpful. I was actually listening to a podcast about this the other day and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. I need to talk about this with you guys. So, number one thing to keep in mind when you're making decisions is that there is no such thing as a wrong decision. Soak that in. Like, there is no such thing as a wrong decision. So either when we make a decision, either it's going to be like a win or awesome and it's, we're going to love the result of it, or it's going to be a learning situation, right? And we're going to get more clarity on what we want or don't want. Either way, it's not wrong. I mean, if you go back and you beat yourself up about like everything that's happened in your life, truly, like I can go back and I've had like all these different majors, I've had all these different jobs, I could be like, oh, those were all failures, or I made the wrong decision with all those things, but that's not true. Like those were all things that I needed on my path to get me to where I am now. And had I not made those decisions and gone down those paths, I wouldn't have gotten the clarity that allowed me to make different decisions. So let me know if that makes sense, but I really think that this helps shift that perspective, because there is never such a thing as a wrong decision. Things might not turn out how you wanted to, but you're going to learn a lot through that. And I really do believe that we get led to certain situations so that we can learn the things that we need to through those situations, even if they're tough. And I know for me, like if I look back at some of the things that have been the hardest for me in my life, I have gained the most valuable lessons and information from those, like even from like shitty relationships or like bad, tough things that have happened for me in my life. Like when I look back, like I have learned so much through those situations. Like it's just amazing. And then I can go back and I can actually be grateful for them, as opposed to like being like, oh God, I made the wrong decision, that sucked. Like, it's not true. Like I learned from it. It's okay. So start thinking about things this way, because it's going to help you so much and not put so much pressure on like, I got to make the right decision. Just make a decision and then you can move on. And a decision isn't like permanent either, because you can always make another decision. So Maggie going through this right now. Yeah, definitely. And Molly, hey Molly, I'm so glad you're here. Helped you so much with analysis paralysis. Yes, I love that. And I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, because you're rocking forward and doing amazing things now. And sometimes you just need that little boost to get going. So, let me see what else I want to talk to you about. Okay, so the other thing, I talked about this before, but that fact that we make a decision in 1 second. So a lot of times we're just procrastinating making a decision, but we don't, there's a lot of relief that comes with making a decision. And then once that decision is made, we can move forward and start taking action. And a lot of times, like, we don't get the clarity that we need to know whether a decision is, right or wrong or moving us the way we want to go or not until we actually decide and start taking action. And so this is the thing, like, we can sit there and hem and haw and like, which is the right decision. But in order to know, we need to actually just decide and start moving forward. And then we can be like, oh, this isn't exactly what I want. Or yeah, like, this is awesome. Like, this is totally moving me in the direction that I want to go. And either way, it's not bad. You just, if it's not going in the direction you want to go, or you start getting clarity like, this isn't really what I want, then you just decide, you just make a new decision. So does that make sense to you guys? I think this is really helpful when you start thinking about it this way, because it takes off like that pressure and like that fear of making the wrong decision. Hey, Maria. Yes, making sense. I love it. So as you make a decision, you start moving forward, you're going to get all this like great information, like, yeah, I'm going in the right way, or no, I'm not. And then you can just change your mind, make another decision. So there's nothing wrong with making a new decision, and there's nothing wrong with changing your mind too. So don't think that any decision is like forever. Like, we're always making new decisions like all the time. And that's just what, that's how life is. Like, it's just a series of decisions, like what you eat, like what you're doing with your time, like, how you start your morning, what time you get up, like decisions. It's our whole life. So Cassie, let me see what you're saying. For you, it's making money to spend money. Analysis paralysis goes into financial paralysis. So this is the same. Yeah. So money comes up obviously when we're starting a business, like, for sure. And, the thing is, like, we can always make money. Either we can always go and get a job and make money, or we can make money through our business. Like, we all have the power to make money at any time, and truly as much money as we want. Obviously, you're a little more limited in how much money you're making if you're working for someone else. And so where this analysis paralysis comes up, when it comes to like the financial side of things, is because, let me talk about a few more things, Cassie, and let me come back to this, because it's gonna tie into that. But that's a really good point to bring up. Just keep moving and don't hide. Yeah, for sure. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, always, stagnation and feeling stuck is truly, like, I think the worst feeling in the world. And always moving forward, even if it's not moving you in the direction you want to go, feels better. It just does. And that's truly like what growth is all about, is continuing to move forward and being willing to make mistakes and try things. So don't worry, Cassie, I'm going to get back to your question, I promise. Okay, so this is really helpful. I actually heard this, Brooke Castillo, I was listening to her podcast. She does the life coach school. Her stuff is really good. Go and check it out. But she was talking about, I was listening to a podcast about decisions, and I want to share this with you because she mentioned this and I thought it was like awesome. So if you're trying to decide between two things, thinking about, instead of like getting stuck in like, oh my gosh, what if this happens? What if that happens? Like the worst case scenario, thinking about the best, if you're deciding between two things, the best case scenario, both things. So let's say like you're deciding between starting your business or staying in a job or getting a job. You could look at the best case scenario of both of these instead of going into like, what if this happens? What if that happens? So let's say the best case scenario of starting your business. And what does that look like? What does that look like for you? Best case scenario. And then the best case scenario of staying in your job or, finding a job. What does that look like? Best case, like if everything is working out how you want it to. And then compare those two, right? Like the best case scenario of each, of being in your own business and of working for someone else. And if you had the best case scenario of either of those, which one would you choose? It's a different way of looking at things, but I actually like it. I think it's really nice for the choosing between two things, because it's so much more confusing when we go into like the pros and the cons and all that stuff. And if we take both things and we're like, best case scenario each way, which one would I choose? And then just go for that one. Like it makes so much more sense. So I love that when trying to decide between two things. The other thing is like, knowing that a lot of times we don't need to decide one or the other. In a lot of situations, we can have both. So you don't necessarily have to decide, like if you're starting your business, like, oh, I'm just starting my business, and I have to quit my job, or I'm working a job. Like you could have both. You can be working your job and starting your business at the same time. So a lot of times we put ourselves into the situation where we say we can have one thing but not the other thing, or we're losing things because of something that we're going towards. And that isn't the case. A lot of times for many things we can actually have both. And so I think that opens up like more opportunity as well, because it isn't always black and white. It isn't always one or the other. A lot of times there's space to have both things if we're deciding between two things. Maria had an aha moment. I love that. I would love to hear what that aha moment is if you want to share. Okay, so the other thing to look into, like if you're deciding to do something, to think about this is another thing that Brooke Castillo was talking about, which I think is great. And actually I talk about this as well, but so let's say you're thinking about like starting your business or really pursuing your business, to think about the best case scenario and the worst case scenario, right? So what is the best case scenario of starting your business? What does that look like? And what is the worst case scenario of starting your business, and what does that look like? And truly what you're probably going to realize is that the worst case scenario is missing out on the best case scenario. So that like it's a lot worse to never actually give yourself the chance to try something and to be successful at something than it is to actually try it and maybe not have it work out how you wanted it to. And to never even give yourself that chance to do the things that you want to be doing. Like that's actually the worst case scenario, is to not even give yourself the opportunity to have the best case scenario. I love thinking about it that way, but it's like so true, right? Because I mean, I really think that life is all about taking chances, seeing what we're capable of, seeing what we can do, like how amazing life can be. And if we're always in a space of just, holding ourselves back and never giving ourselves the chance, we're missing out on life, or missing out on what our life could be. And I think that is the worst case scenario. I mean, I think that's way worse than like trying something and having it not work out, or having it fail, quote unquote. And often really what happens if we fail or if something doesn't work out is that we're just back where we started. So at least now we know like what would have happened, or how things are going to work out, as opposed to like just always wondering like what if I had done that? What if? And yeah, Maggie, it's true. It goes back to like trusting in our own potential, because we all are capable of doing anything that we want. We all are. Like, it's all of us can do anything we want. That means with your business, financially, whatever. And the only thing that holds us back is ourselves. So telling us we can't do it or not giving ourselves the chance to do it, giving up on things, that's the only thing that ever holds us back. So Maria's saying, best case scenario of starting your business is the life she wants. Best case scenario of not starting your business and working her job is not exciting. And what if, I didn't get the rest of that, but yeah. So that's the thing. Like, we're missing out on something that could be amazing. And that's really all it comes down to. So instead of getting so caught up in like, what if this happens? What if that happens? More just saying, like, looking at the positive of things and realizing, like, I can make anything happen. The only thing that holds us back is ourselves. And then this really brings me into the next thing that I wanted to talk about too, is that when you do make a decision, then to go all in your decision. So if you're deciding to start a business, to go all in that decision. And that means putting the money towards starting your business that you need to put towards starting a business. You cannot start a business without spending any money. Don't tell yourself that I need to start my business without spending any money. That does not mean you're all in. And truly, like, you need support to start a business. You can go and ask, I'm not like making this up because I'm a business coach, right? Like, and saying like, oh, you need support, but you do. You can ask anyone who's ever started any sort of business and they will tell you the same thing. So this is just, it's truth. And so if you are all in your business and you're going to get the support that you need to start a business. You're going to get the support you need to have someone help you start the business and do things in a smart and efficient way, as opposed to like having one foot in and one foot out of starting your business and saying, I can't spend any money on my business and I can't get any support and I have to do it all on my own. That means you have not decided. That means you are not all in. And so you're not going to get the results, right? So I think that's really, really important. And, Cassie, as you were talking about kind of like the financial stuff, this goes into that too. Like, if you're all in starting your business, knowing that you're going to put the finances into starting your business, getting the support that you need to start your business, and then looking at what are my options financially to make that happen. And this goes into like, I mean, even for me, like I got like a random job when I was starting my business because I had started my business like working out of an office first, and I had some clients, but not like nearly enough. And so when I decided to start my coaching, I was like, okay, I'm going to get another job to make sure that I have enough money coming in so that I can invest back into my business. And so I went and I got a random job so that I had the money coming in so that I could actually take it seriously, invest in my business, because I knew it was going to take money to start my business. And I knew I needed to get support with starting my business and invest in someone to help me do that. And so financially, when it comes to that side of things, I think looking at the long-term picture. So if you are ever in a place right now where you feel like you can't put the money towards your business, if you're all in for starting your business, what steps do you need to take to get the finances? And it might look like borrowing the money. It might look like putting stuff on a credit card. That's what I did when I started my business. Getting a business loan, getting another job. Like, there's lots of options. So when you decide, then looking at like what path can you take to actually make this happen. If you're all in and you decided like what steps are going to allow you to make that happen. You don't know what you don't know. That's so true. And why we're working together. Yes, Maggie, I love it. But yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And the thing is too, like, we just know, like, anything. Like, if you even think about it, like, if I decided I wanted to start speaking fluent Spanish, I know some Spanish, I'm definitely not fluent. I know I'm going to need help making that happen. It's not going to happen by me, like, you know, dabbling in it and being like, oh, you know, it's just going to kind of happen by itself, or I'm going to practice on my own. Like, I would have to work with someone who speaks fluent Spanish or go to Spain or, you know, whatever to make that happen. Or if I decided all of a sudden, like, I want to play the violin, like I played the violin growing up, never good, but I know I'm going to need lessons to do that, right? Like, I'm not going to be able to do it on my own, or I could dabble with it on my own, but the process is going to be long. I'm going to make lots of mistakes. I'm not going to know what I'm doing. So it's just if you're really serious about thinking something and you make a decision, like, get the support that you need. And same thing, like, if you're going to get support with anything, like, there's a financial investment with it as well. Cassie, if you're still on, does that answer your question about the financial side of things? Because I definitely get that too. And truthfully, like, I used to sit in the grocery store and, like, freak out about whether I could buy certain things because, like, financially I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is more expensive. Like, if I wanted the organic something versus the regular, and, like, sit there and, like, you know, hem and haw about it. And truly, sometimes, like, for 10 minutes, you know, like, sitting at the grocery store trying to decide if I could buy something, like, it's ridiculous. Like, just decide something and then, you know, move on with it. But obviously, like, once you get to a place where, I mean, I don't have to do that anymore, because financially, like, I don't feel like it's that I can't buy the things that I want to, but I understand financially when you're feeling more pressured for something. And that's why I just say, like, how can you take that pressure off too? And if it's bringing in more money from a different way, and then ultimately bringing in that money from your business, which is totally 100% possible. So, but it all goes back to those decisions. Do you guys have any questions about that? Any questions about making decisions? Any questions where you get stuck in your business when it comes to this? Yeah, Cassie, totally get all those things. And truly, when it comes to making decisions too, it doesn't mean, like, and that's why I say, like, if you're deciding to start a business, I always say, like, financially, don't put yourself in a position that's like, I can't pay my bills, I can't feed my children, you know, something like that. Like, that's silly. Like, that doesn't make sense. Because it's not about recklessly deciding things. It's about you know, deciding things from our higher guidance, which would never tell you to do something that's going to leave you in a place where you are totally stressed out financially, or you can't pay your bills or something like that. So looking at what your options are then too, like I said, can be like taking out a loan, or you know, getting that other job or whatever it is, which, Cassie, you're doing too. So that's awesome. So it's just, yeah, I mean, I know all you guys are smart, and it's really about, like, being willing to take risks, but that doesn't mean taking a risk that's putting you in a position that's going to, like, compromise your well-being, or, like, because it doesn't help to start a business when you're like, oh my gosh, I have to get a client right now, or I'm not gonna be able to buy some food tonight or pay my rent. Like, don't put yourself in that spot. Like, that's silly, because you're gonna be so stressed out that you're not even be able to be successful in your business anyways. So these are some good questions. Yeah, bring the questions. How do you build a thick skin when you hit roadblocks in your business? So I would say the biggest thing has been practice, right? And so I talked about this last night on my coaching call with my clients. But it's really, like, not taking things personally, or really knowing that roadblocks are part of the process of starting anything new. So especially with starting a business, and instead of seeing the roadblocks as being bad or negative, to see that as, like, a challenge or something to, like, a learning opportunity. And so just, like, that shift in perspective, I think, has really changed things for me, because every single entrepreneur, every single person who's ever started a business, you just run into roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And they're not really roadblocks. They're just like, they're challenges or learning opportunities. They're things that we have to kind of go and figure out like what's going on and how we can do things differently. So knowing that it does, not taking that personally and just knowing that it's part of the process, and that I think the more roadblocks that you come across and the more times you take those and you overcome them, or you come up with a solution for them, the stronger you grow, the better your decision making becomes, the more resilient you are, the more you start to see what you're actually capable of. So it's really like all part of the process. And there's a quote, really, it's like to fail forward, right? And that's really what it all is all about. You can kind of see like, how many mistakes can I make? Like, how many failures can I have? And as long as you keep going and you're persistent, that's the key. Like, not to take these failures as I suck, you know, it's not going to work, but just, you know, it's just part of the process. The more you're able to do that, like the more you're really going to, like evolve and transform as a person, as a coach, as a business owner. And so I think it's really like an opportunity as opposed to it being like a bad thing. So, but it's all about practicing. Does that make sense, Maggie? Yeah. Awesome. So Maria, for you, the fear of not having the energy, oh, let me see what you said, and getting overwhelmed and stressed. So I totally get that. When it comes from like, the thing about starting a business and doing what you really meant to be doing is like, I actually find it energizing, and I find that doing a job that I don't really want to be doing, or working in a position that I don't want to really be working in, completely draining. Like, I remember my last job that I worked, I would go to work, I would come home, I would sleep. I would spend my weekends like sleeping. You know what I mean? Like, I was so drained from going to this job that I like did not have anything to give. And now that I'm doing my business, and doing my own thing, like, I feel energized by the work I do. It doesn't mean I love everything I do. Like, sometimes I have to deal with technical things or things that aren't working, and it's annoying. And, you know, sometimes those things can be a little draining, but it all goes back to like my bigger mission. And I know that those things are an essential part of helping me do what it is that I'm meant to be doing. And so I find that really actually energizing. And I think, like, that's really the thing for all of us. And as far as like the energy piece goes too, like when you're starting a business, to always prioritize like your self-care and your exercise and what you're eating, you know, like those types of things that, you know, like keep you going, keep you on track, keep you feeling your best. And so not to let those things slide when you start your business. You know, I think that really helps from the energy piece. And as far as getting overwhelmed and stressed, I really say like taking things one step at a time. So when overwhelm comes from looking at the whole picture and trying to figure out how everything is going to work out. And so I think that is the number one thing that leads to overwhelm. And so instead, if you can just take things one step at a time and not get so focused on how is everything going to work out? Like, how am I going to get from where I am now to like the end point? Like, that's overwhelming. But if you just take things like one step at a time, then it isn't overwhelming, because you're just working on whatever it is that's in front of you. And of course, like getting support so that you know what to be doing and you're not like wasting time or spinning your wheels or wondering if what it is that you're doing is actually helpful or moving you forward. I think that really helps with overwhelm too. I'm very familiar with the feeling of overwhelm. I actually hate the feeling of overwhelm, but it's really like, for me, goes back to like taking things one step at a time and like having a list of the things I need to do each day. So instead of like going and being like, oh my gosh, what do I need to do? Like, I don't even know where to start. Like, then you just know like, oh, you know, this is what I have to do today. Like, these are the steps. And I don't need to look further ahead. I don't need to try to figure out what happens next? What happens next? Or if you start going in your brain and being like, what if this happens? and like thinking of the worst case scenario of everything. Like, what if I do this and then that happens, you know? And so we can go to that place. And for me, I'll give you an example. Like, I just recently hired 2 people to help me with things in my business. And for a long time, I put off like actually doing it, making the decisions to do it, because I was going into like, what if it doesn't work out? Like, what if this happens? What if that happens? You know, and just driving myself crazy. I finally did it. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, it feels so good. So, not getting caught up in like, what if that happens? What if that happens? And just taking things one step at a time, I think is really key for the overwhelm. Do you guys have any other questions? Hopefully that answers that, Maria. If you do, or if you guys catch the replay and have any questions, let me know. And the other thing, like if you're in a place where you do feel overwhelmed, or you're facing these fears, or you don't know where to start, you don't know what steps to take, I'd love to invite you into a free call where we can talk about that. I mean, I feel 100% confident that I can get you out of overwhelm or get you out of analysis paralysis and really help you move forward and start getting results, which means clients and income coming in your business. I feel 100% confident in that. And so if you're in this place where you, first of all, decide, like, I'm going to start my business or I'm not going to start my business. It's as simple as that. And if you decide, like, yeah, I'm going to start my business, like, I would love to help you, because I know I can do that. And that way you're all in. You're all in, going forward. Like, you'll know what steps to take. It makes a huge difference. So I'll put a link in the comments, and you guys can sign up if you're interested in a call. And all right. If you guys don't have any other questions, I'm going to hop off. Thank you everyone so much who joined me. If you catch the replay and you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Go out there and start making powerful decisions. It will totally transform your life. Absolutely promise you that. So I will talk to all you guys soon. Bye.